Okay, perfect. We will now call the City of Nisswa Special City Council meeting on this Monday, August 25th at 5 o'clock p.m. to order. And we have one agenda item, which is a continuation from our meeting last week, which is the 2026 budget discussion. So Keith, we'll turn it over to you.
Council decides otherwise, we'll just let them, department heads go as they see fit. And we're going to start with Brian, if that's okay with the council.
Okay, perfect. And I just have one just technical note. So from our meeting last week, people were really pleased about calling on everyone and speaking so that they could understand who was talking. And there were lots of good comments on the YouTube video and comments in the community about that. Just one note is some people said, unless you were talking closer to the mic, if you were further back, they couldn't hear. So if you could just be mindful to try to speak closely, that would be great so that anybody that wants to watch online or is watching online can hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Joe.
Do we have a packet or numbers to follow along with everybody? Oh, I didn't know. Usually we've had a packet or some numbers to follow. No, you don't have to, but we don't have any of that. Keith.
Yeah, what happens in special city council meetings is we can just have a topic without supporting documentation. I've repeatedly asked, and so has Maggie asked for supporting documentation or what the council wants to see, and we haven't got any feedback on that. So we're at a regular agenda. A regular agenda requires a topic and supporting documentation, and that's why it's extremely important for us to know what the topic is, the agenda item in specificity, and then we can provide the council with supporting documentation so you can make really good decisions. Special meetings are a little bit different.
You've asked us to tell you about the documents, or you've asked staff?
I have asked who's ever calling the special meetings for supporting documentation and what they request.
Okay, isn't this just so last week we weren't gonna have numbers or a packet either? Cause this is just an extension. I'm just asking.
Yeah, I was not asked for this special meeting, no. So yeah, I talked to the department heads. They will provide an overview for you. If you want them to go make some copies for you, they certainly will, yes. But ideally, we should have that material to you in advance so that you can review it, make a good decision, ask questions, and we can also distribute it to the public. But with a lot of special meetings, I'm not getting a lot of supporting documentation, even though we're asking, which makes it complicated for us.
Okay. I guess. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here for us, and just appreciate all that you guys do for us. I'm waiting for copies on the budget, and that'll be back in 2 seconds. But I just want to talk a little bit about it. I based a lot of my budget off this year on numbers from 2024. And I looked at, okay, what did we do last year? And what were our final numbers? Not necessarily what the budget showed, but what our actual numbers are, because budgets are great, but they're a guideline and hopefully expectations, and hopefully expectations that we exceed on that. So most of my numbers I mirrored on 2024. And one thing I always like to try to do on the budget is under promise and overachieve. And we've done that. I will, in the past, almost every year. I will admit this year is a struggle. Our economy is soft this year. Our weather hasn't been the greatest. But I still feel we're going to have a very successful year on numbers. I mean, I looked at our July profit and it was fantastic. Not that some of that money is not going to have to pay for product in August, because it will. Thank you. So yeah, if we look at the budget for 2026, it's our revenue is going to be 4,590,000, and then you look down and our expenditures are 4,576,000. You know, these are just projections, because if we have a great summer, we're gonna blow our sales away. And then if we are exceeding our sales, obviously we're gonna exceed the product for merchandise that we're gonna have to buy. But one thing I always try to do is I watch what we buy and I look at it and I say, how can we make money off this? So I could easily have our budget be 10% less, but that's just gonna come out of merchandise for resale. And the way that I feel that Spirits in Nisswa can make money for the city is taking advantage of hot deals out there and not being so concerned about if it's gonna cost us $1 today because we're gonna make $5 on that tomorrow. So if we look at up on the expenditures, if you go over to 2024, those are pretty close numbers right there. And I increased the sales by, what is that? $15,000. And do I expect to be above $15,000 from 2024? You're dang right I do. But that is what we put on there because I like to be realistic. If we jump down on the expenditures, I took in mind our exercise that we did earlier this spring, and we had a flat budget. We had a sorry, that's my phone. We had a budget that was had a wish list on it, and then we had a budget with I believe a 7% decrease on there. And once again, I could easily achieve that 7% discount on there. It's just a matter of if the city council wants me to not buy some deals that are out there at the end of the year where we can make money on it. So that's the easiest way for me to trim a budget, is to look at our inventory. But I also did look at all the other things on there: operating supplies, professional service, transportation, advertising. And I'm like, hey, where can we tighten our belt on 2026 to keep the levy the way where you guys want it to be? I don't necessarily think we want to go through line for line. I can do that. I'm pretty much here if you have any questions. Yes.
So the profit and loss, that is after the payout to
Yep.
the general levy?
Mhm.
Okay, that number's after. And what is the general levy number?
245.
45, okay. Thank you. That is my question.
I did not put a lot of money into our capital expenditures for future use because we have a lot in there right now. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's maybe $80,000 in there. So I looked at our 10-year plan, and we can put money in it in the future. But for right now, we are sitting very well in that area.
Brian, one question, because Schaefer's is doing that expansion, right?
Mhm.
And is that, we're taking more space into that in 2026? Or,
So I did not put any of that into our budget because I'm not sure if that's happening. When it happens, then we'll deal with it. And so if it does happen, obviously we would expect our sales to go up. So the two should definitely balance each other out.
Brian, is the rentals, is the monthly rental fee for your space at Nisswa Spirits, is that included in the middle of the expenditures, Spirit rentals?
Yeah, so that's, Jesse, that is $108,000 per year.
Hmm.
Did that answer your question?
That's what we pay Schaefer's every year
Yep.
to
Okay.
rent that building.
When I'm looking at the 23 actual, 24 actual, it says 18,000. It's actually two varying numbers versus the 2025 budget number. That was my only question because I saw the discrepancy there.
I'm not sure why we have those numbers in there, but 108,000 is an accurate number.
I think there's a new Gatsby rule that takes part of this out. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to go back to look, but I think there's a audit entry that happens in here. But I do not know why it's 18,000. Unless it's not grabbing my information from the software correctly when I open this spreadsheet.
Okay.
Well, we can get clarity on that on the back end.
It,
Joe?
we could get clarity on it, but I can tell you right now, and Maggie could, we have I believe we had a 5-year lease and it was the same each year, so it was 108,000. Yes, Joe?
I know that you've switched some stuff up with staff, pay full-time, part-time, and how you're operating that, you
Mhm.
know? You've been working on that over the last year. Is that working for you? Are you seeing the results you wanted to with your staffing, making those changes?
Well, our staffing, I would have to say, we probably have the best staff at any liquor store in Minnesota. So yes, it is working. And I have my sales reps coming in and they're always saying, how do you do this? Your staff's so friendly, they're knowledgeable, and they've been here for a long time. So it does definitely help when we reward them with the money that they deserve to get. And I believe, yeah, it's 100% working.
Okay, good.
I guess Maggie and Brian, when you guys review and revise this spreadsheet with the 23 actuals and 24 actuals, could you send them out?
Yep.
If possible?
Yep. Any other questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening. Chief Bailey here for the people listening. So this year, we're looking at about an 8.63% increase on our budget. 10,000 of those dollars happens to be what we're doing over a 5-year period with our contracted areas. So my budget's divided up by 5 people, you guys, Nisswa, Lakeshore, Lake Edwards, Pequot, and Pelican. Now, Lakeshore, Lake Edwards, and Nisswa pay the majority in the 30% miles. So we've gone up 8.65 because I've decided over the last 5 years, which I have, after this year, I'll have 2 more years to go, going up 10,000 for our capital improvement plan. So we're gonna stop when that hits 105,000 a year. 3 years ago, we were at 55, which, you know, trucks are $1 million now. So that's there. I increased that 10,000 like we've been on schedule for the last 3 years. And we went up, which line is that? Radios have gone up astronomically, so we bumped that up a 10,000 mark. And then repairs, yeah, so forth. And then we jumped our payroll 15,000 because we're looking at, you know, I can't project in 26 how many times people in Nisswa are going to dial 911. It's gone up over the last few years. When I started, we were doing 80 calls a year. I think if it goes the way it is going right now, we're going to be at 700 this year. So we're responding to a lot of calls. So that's justification for the 8.65, I feel. If you don't feel so, ask some questions. But I may come back and ask for a little bit more because we're going to have some decontamination issues to take care of.
Maggie's the total dollar on that for the 8.83% increase, is that,
Right there. Oh, 8.83. I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's 30,000 flat.
Yep. But out of that 30, I think you guys are only responsible for 10. I don't think you had the county one on there, did you? In the past years, you guys are responsible for roughly 30, anywhere from 31 to 34% is what Municipal is responsible for.
So our payment, most of it of this, oh, you can't see it, as was like 131,000. That includes a few other pieces, but that is what we mostly pay for fire relief. I think I wrote a check for 120,000. Who got that check? You or Joe? Does that sound about right?
Sure.
It is roughly that amount, yeah,
Give or take.
yeah.
Hey,
I,
could you zoom in a little bit?
I believe it was 10,000 that we set for Lake Edwards, wasn't it? Roughly?
No, Lake Edwards is in the 100,000 mark too.
Right, but about 30.
Does anyone have any questions for Chief Bailey? Okay, thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure. Block camera 75 times 2 plus the capital. Okay, yep. Well, I have 2 cameras plus the capital improvement, so there must be something else in your capital improvement.
Yeah, it looks the same.
Good evening. I'm Chief Samansky. My budget is pretty simple and very similar to last year, I guess. We still have one final wage to get plugged in once we hire another officer to determine that. Should know that within the next month here. Other than that, we have a squad car to order again. The window on ordering that is open till mid-January, so I'll probably be coming back in the next month or two here with a memo to see if we can get that ordered ahead of time, and then we won't have to pay till they make delivery on that. Few subscription costs that have gone up there. We have a new firewall that we're required to get in order to keep running our computers. Hoping to pay for most of that out of leftovers from this year's budget. And then there's a multi-factor authentication included in that, which is $3 a month per user, so it's comes out to 21 bucks a month, not a whole lot. Then the only additional thing I'd be asking for, once again, would be the flock safety cameras. Something to consider. Previous quote was 7,500 for 2 cameras with installation, and after that it'd be 3,000 a camera per year, just an ongoing subscription. So if anyone's got any questions.
Were we going to get some grant money for that camera? Wasn't that talked about in the past possibly?
It
Or that there was,
might be possible. Sourcewell's kind of changed some things up as far as getting grants from them. So this year, it's no longer a first come, first serve. They'll give it to anyone who didn't get it the previous year, this year. Still an option to apply for that, and we can look in other areas as well, so.
is that dollar amount in the budget though, or outside of the budget? It
In the budget.
budgeted for 1,
2.
2? Okay,
For 2.
super.
Yep.
So that's a 20,000 or $234 increase,
Yes.
just without seeing the header.
Yes. And again, that will depend on our new officer and wages. There are a few tweaks that Todd and I need to make on this, along with all the other staff, just as we fine tune things that are purchased throughout the year too.
So this does not include a new officer for 26.
It does, but at what pay and step? So there's an officer in there,
Okay.
I think I put step 3 in there just for
Placeholder.
figures, but that could fluctuate just a
Could
smidgen.
be within a couple dollars an hour, give or take.
Sure. Making you, yeah, go back down a little bit. Thank you. all I had.
Anybody else have anything for Chief Szymanski? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, good afternoon. Terry Walding, manager at the Pickle. Right now I'm looking at a 2.44% increase in sales. That'll probably be even a lot more when the THC sales pick up. I'm adding some new product this week and getting more signage up in the off sale so they know where it's at and how to find it. Budget's like 98% done. I've got a couple things. I'm reaching out to a company per request of the health department. I need to redo the inside of the walk-in cooler. And got plenty of money in the capital improvement plan already to pay for that. So I put in there probably 60 grand, but I really don't know what the price is gonna be. So otherwise, sales have been great this whole summer. I will not have a problem reaching last year's budget numbers at all, so. And then looking at proposed profit, almost $170,000 after the money put into the general fund, so.
That's great.
Super.
That's great.
Go ahead.
Joe,
Have the TVs and furniture and stuff helped?
Probably, I don't know. Won't know until the Vikings show up or don't show up. I don't know. I mean, it's been great, like for the pig races and everything.
Right.
They got it on 3 or 4, and it's loud as hell, but yeah, it's
What-
been good.
What about the breakfast food?
Breakfast has been good.
Has it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a different alternative to just breakfast pizzas and things like that, so it's been good. Anything else?
anyone have any questions for Terry? Jesse? No?
All right,
Thank you. Keep up the great work.
Thanks. Oh, and Brian doesn't have the best staff. I just want to let you know that. You don't have the best staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I have prepared kind of using the flat budget that we discussed in April, kind of married all of the concepts together that we discussed at that time. There were a couple of different changes that were talked about during that April meeting. One of them being the permitting software, if we were to allocate that out of our capital improvement budget, that might be more appropriate. And so we did look back at previous CIP budget sequences, and there was money that was put in there. I think our capital reserves was hovering around 58,000 for my department. So feels like an appropriate utilization of those capital improvement plan funds. The other element that was talked about was the healthcare element. At the end of this year, my plan was to take a look at how much was budgeted for 2025 that is going to go unused if I don't elect for healthcare due to a life change, and then talk to you guys about maybe doing a journal entry to transfer that into the capital reserve on the event that if a life change were to occur, say my spouse lost her employment or whatever disaster and I needed to jump on it, then it's already allocated for my department without impacting that year's budget. Planning forward from there for future years would be the goal of that move. So that was discussed and that found its way back into my budget. That it should be budgeted for was voiced by one council member at that April meeting. So that is what you're seeing reflected here with a net increase for budget of 8.18%. That's with equal professional service fees and the trainings that were discussed at that meeting. Another option, I crunched some numbers using the spreadsheet. If we were to go with the transfer methodology of that into the capital reserve for, a future event on savings for that, we could increase professional service fees by $7,500 and it would be a 1.02% increase for my department. Benefit to that, as we all know, we have land that needs to be kind of developed. I imagine that there will be several professional services that need to be commissioned and evaluation for that. So coming to this, again, I didn't have any specific material prepared other than this spreadsheet. So looks like Maggie did do some adjusting to the capital improvement section. My spreadsheet had 7950. As we shifted away for other things that were being used, it has now come down to 59. So my numbers are incorrect. The master spreadsheet shows 6.97%. I imagine with that shift down, my 1.02% would also be a notch flatter. So I'm open to any feedback that you may have.
So that's a good number.
Yeah.
With healthcare, correct?
Yes, it does have healthcare in it. I will,
I don't want to interject. We shouldn't be talking about healthcare selections and single family or costs as it relates to personnel in a public meeting.
What were you saying, Maggie?
oh, sorry. I'm gonna say there will be some tweaks to these as I move forward to work with staff, and I met with each department head individually, and we've kind of bounced some things like, hey, can I get a report on this? Or hey, let's work on this. So those extra, I'll say secondary things have not been updated in the spreadsheet at this point. So it's really close depending on what the final things, the small changes that might come with some of this as we questioned and worked through budgets and what to prepare for next year.
And maybe at our workshop in September, which is a little under a month away, we can
Yes. Well,
have the next iteration in more detail at that point.
yes, and we are working, Tom and I are working with PFM on road bonds and how that will impact our 26 budget and things like that. So hopefully we'll have some numbers. And I think Heather from PFM is actually going to attend the strategic workshop to kind of explain some of those things as well.
Good. Joe?
So you hit on it, but in the professional fees, are you accounting for some additional fees there in relationship to the property that we built in our development?
So in short, no, that is utilizing just a flat transfer of professional services that we've budgeted for 2025. The number off on the right-hand side are those costs that were incurred in the 2024 season. 46,000, that's kind of like my trend number. And the reason that I would suggest adding, a conservative amount of 7,500 more to offset that on a flat rate. If we look at this land, we're probably going to have more than just planning and zoning costs. There's probably going to be infrastructure costs, roads costs, sewer. So I mean, whether it would be appropriate to offset for that out of my department or just a general bonding for work that needs to be done over there, I guess I would be open to suggestion. But a couple of my different budget scenarios in April did have that 7,500 in there. In the goal of keeping it flat, that's why I wanted to bring the healthcare aspect that Mr. Hiller talked on as well. So
Then do we have any budget in there right now? We have like Chris Pence helping us rewrite the rules and stuff.
we do have some more in our SIP plan. So we got that comparative analysis that we're going to be bringing to the Planning Commission in September here for review. That was $3,000 and there was 5,000 budgeted for ordinance revisions in the capital improvement plan. It was noted in April too that there was funds that fluxed the capital improvement up for the downtown master plan. Obviously all of that did not get expended. And so I would say that there's latitude for introduction of a new motion for budgetary expense in the future for more ordinance work as it may need to be. So, yeah.
One thing that I just want to know with this professional fees is some of this money we actually get back for reimbursement for some of the projects and applications for variances and CUPs. So you'd have to look at the revenue side to see how it offsets.
Correct.
Any other questions for Stephen? Thank you, Stephen. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening. Just a reminder for everyone, I prepare two budgets for the city. The first that we're going to go over is the community center budget. This one's pretty straightforward this year. I did take a relatively moderate approach, still prioritizing the capital reserve. So the budget reflects just some minor adjustments to continue with the standard operation. We're not requesting any new items. The largest increase comes from adding funds to the capital reserve. So in total, it's looking like an proposed increase of $4,000.
And this isn't really different from what we saw the last time.
No.
Any questions for Amber on the community center budget?
Okay, so then the parks budget. Again, I still took a pretty moderate approach on this. The budget reflects what's needed to continue with the existing operation. We discussed some of the staffing, and so the same staffing structure was used with one director, one maintenance technician, and then seasonal winter staff. We are not requesting any new items. Most of it is just reallocating some of the funds outside of staffing. We're looking at a $4,000 increase. So again, a very moderate approach. With that, I do think it's equally important that I let you know what's not in the budget. So the budget doesn't incorporate any additional funds for park projects. Through the budget process, it'd be great if council could help determine if or what funds are available that could be incorporated into the budget to advance Nisswa City Park or any future plans at Pocket Park. So neither of those are included in the budget. And then I want to note, as it relates to City Park, the moratorium on local option sales tax has expired. I did share that information with the Parks Commission at our August 7th meeting, and the commission unanimously approved the motion to recommend to City Council to propose implementing a sales tax in Nisswa for the improvements at City Park. So I believe it's vital that we continue to have some serious discussions about funding the infrastructure there. And just wanted to put that out there at this meeting, and I'd be happy to provide any follow-up detailed information so you guys can make an informed decision.
Because I think we would probably want to put that on the council agenda for September. For
Yeah, I don't-
discussion, because there is a type at the League of Minnesota Cities annual conference I was at. I sat in the session on that, and there is a timeline because it does have to be voted on. So we would have to get it, if the council moved in that direction, we would have to get things moving by like January at the latest to get everything ready to go on the ballot for November for
Yes.
the voters to
I
decide.
gave the Parks Commission a substantial amount of information in August.
Okay.
The league has a very nice article on the process. We would have to have all of the information submitted to legislation by January 30th.
Yeah.
And the first
Timeline.
move is for council to adopt a resolution. There's a whole lot more to it on the ins and outs of, we had the sales tax report by the U of M, November of last year. And
Thought it was,
then,
yeah.
so there's a lot of information and just, hearing from you guys on how we would like to go about funding any of this infrastructure. None of it's in the budget, so it's kind of a separate yet equally important discussion. So,
So also important for our retreat in September. Good. Any questions for Amber? Mark, do you have anything to add or?
Well, everybody knows I'm a lost person, especially when 65% of it would be paid for by visitors. You look at, and also the sales tax numbers from what they were reported a few years ago have gone up by, if I believe right, close to 70%, and they're on an upward projection. So in reality, or hope is, with those projections, I would say I'm hoping that 15 years and it would be paid off. That's just my hope, but we'll see. But I think it's something that we really definitely need to look at.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.
I think, Tom, you're the last one.
Oh, I don't know. I've got a summary that I think I would go through, but, oops. Bear with me a minute. Computer's giving me a little bit of fits here. So I'll start with the general fund, not the sewer. So of those departments that I'm responsible for, a summary of those, together, they're gonna be up about 0.5% for the year. So, a few things have factored into that. We've moved some people around, so salaries have, in these departments have changed. So that helped hold it down a little bit. And then also inflation finally is easing some. The last several years, I've had to come in here with double-digit inflation on equipment and other things, and I'm not saying it's over, but it's certainly better. So we don't have any special projects. We're not looking to add any significant equipment, but we are doing what we do. And so with that, I think we can, in these departments, I think we can hold it around 0.5%. Now, that doesn't include the bonding projects. So PFM, as Maggie alluded to earlier, is working on what that means. What I can tell you about the bonding is that as things stand right today, the 26 road bond, we likely would not be seeing our first payment on that until 27. So I don't expect that to impact the 26 budget. So 27 though, be aware, whatever we spend on that, you're gonna feel it then. There's gonna be some modifications to the 27 road bond project. As you're aware, we've done some paving through Nokomis, East and West Linden. And so we're gonna look at that, see what needs to remain a part of that bigger project. I do believe the areas through the resort should still be looked at for long-term planning. How to make those handle a higher tonnage and last longer. But the areas of East and West Linden that are largely residential, that will be able to stand up with the work that was done this summer for a longer period of time. So we may be able to remove those from the bond. Otherwise, if I kind of switch, well, let me back up just a little bit. So the one area that we have seen a large increase in is maintaining public restrooms. So that's gone up 14%. Largely, it's just supplies. I don't know if we have more visitors or they're using more, probably a little of both. But and then that is one area where inflation is still adding to it. But otherwise, everything else has kind of come down as far as our operation costs are. So overall, we're looking at about a 0.5% increase. So moving into the sewer, I think that would be probably the next area of interest. Again, I'm looking at about 0.41% increase in the operation cost. I don't know if you can see that. That shows a little different on Maggie's there. But there's some things that we're still adjusting. So these are drafts that we're going off of, but basically it's in good shape. I mean, she's showing it looks like 0.68 for an increase on the operation costs. This is a number that gets plugged into PFM's cash flow document that they do for us. And that also takes into account not only bonding that we're gonna do soon for lift station one, but going forward. And so when you get that cash flow document from them, you'll see rate increases that reflect that. So don't get too married to this, as that's not gonna be the rate increase. The rate increase will be more than that. But they're still working on that final solution. And so probably by the time of our retreat, you should have a better idea what that's gonna be. So, but it's looking good. One thing that has come out of that, we talked a little bit about lift station one, and also potentially a lift station on the new property if need be. We've managed to run the department efficiently enough that we can pay for lift station one's rebuild without bonding. And we may even be able to build the lift station in the property if need be without bonding, depending on changes in cost estimates from the engineer. But right now it's looking really good. If we did have to bond, it would be a small one. So we're well positioned in the sewer department. So, yes, sir.
How long do you think those prices would hold? I mean, obviously you can't predict the future, but
You know, it's like road,
has it come down or stayed flat on that?
like sewer projects.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as
I
far
don't
as
know
lift
that.
station?
So we're still operating under estimates from back in 24.
Yeah.
And so we're anticipating lift station one's gonna be in the neighborhood of 7,500,000. So about 750. Now, if the lift station, it might be necessary out of the new property there, really depends on what the development is. So to begin with, obviously, it's not gonna be handling the load of a lift station one or lift station three, our two main lift stations right away. So it may be a less expensive lift station than lift station one. So depending on where that comes in, I'm guessing with some of the things that we've talked about in the past that might go onto that property in the immediate future. When I say immediate future, the next 20 years, I anticipate something that could be done in the neighborhood of 500,000. So a little bit less than lift station one. We would have to qualify that, though. We have to get estimate from the engineer before we can say for certain that that's the case. But it looks good. So, and everything's stabilizing a little bit. You know, concrete contractors, you know, it's not what it was a year ago. So, but
With the lift station on the new project, would we still have the additional expense to hook it up from where it ends right now to where the lift station would go? Would that be additional on top of that then? With like repaving Smiley and tearing that up, or is that part of the 500?
that would just be the lift station.
That would just be the lift station. So we'd also incur all that other cost.
Yeah, so if you have any trunk or any force main or anything to
Right.
plug in, I think that what that money would get you is it would get the lift station in the ground and it would get that lift station connected to the system.
Yeah.
Anything going into it would be extra.
Okay.
Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's any other questions. As you know, we're advertising for our other man right now, or other person. We've gotten a few applications. We'll be adding him or her soon, I hope. Probably sometime in September, I would guess. And that should be our manning until, at least on the maintenance side, for the foreseeable future. Wastewater really depends on what we do with this other lift station. We've talked about that before. If we add a lift station, if we have a sudden spurt of growth, we're at that even point where we may need that other guy. So just right now, that's not on the horizon, so I don't anticipate that until 27 or later. So, any questions?
Jesse?
So to further your point about the 2026 road bonds, first payment not being due until 27,
Mhm.
Is that implying that we would not be needing to budget for the 2026 road bond in 2026?
You'll be budgeting for it this time next year for the 27 budget, if that makes sense. So next year, this time, they'll probably be heavy in working on the project. And that first bond payment would likely come due in early 27, as I understand it. Now, there's some updates that have to happen for PFM to say that for certain, but as it looks right today, we're anticipating that that first bond payment would happen in the first quarter of 27.
And if that's the case, then we might have to bond for that payment in 26, so we have the funds available to pay it in the first quarter of 27.
That makes sense.
I need their feedback to be able to say what that's gonna be. I couldn't tell you what that is. I can tell you that the estimate for that project, the last estimate we had, and this is from April of bear with me a second here, I'm trying to find it on this sheet. I think these estimates go back to 2024, but that road bond is estimated at 3.8 million.
Would we typically see a bond like that amortized over 10 years?
I believe that's what we did last time, yeah.
Average payments across the 10-year span?
You could try that, yeah. I mean, that, John will figure that all out and we'll give it to you, when we have the, or Heather, you may hear it from Heather, but PFM will have that all,
Sure.
and they'll explain it ins and outs, why they picked the term that they did 10-year, 20-year, whatever it is. So,
Yeah. If it is a 10-year for hypothetical scenarios, that would take on an amortized base for 10 years of 3.8 million, that'd be $380,000 per year that we'd be adding to our already ironic number. I believe our budget's 3.8 rounding up. So we're looking at a potential base case of a 10% just with this road bond that we're calling the 2026 road bond, right?
right, so this is a list of all the different bonding projects the city has.
Yep.
And so what John looks at with PFM is they try to hold our bonding as steady as they can. Now, obviously that increases with inflation and the size of the projects, but we have, I believe it's 3 road bonds, and so they're alternating. One new one's coming on, one old one's coming off, and then there's one that's in between. And so even though this bond is gonna add what you say, somewhere in that neighborhood, there should be one coming off. Now, the qualifier for that is I don't know what happened with the purchase of the property. So I don't know how that impacts it. Heather and John will be better able to explain that than I am.
This would be good to have in-depth discussion at our retreat too, to make sure we all have a full understanding if they would be ready or if they would have the different scenarios by that time.
So just to kind of, I know some have thought that maybe we could find some of the money in the operations to pay this. I just don't think that's order of magnitude, the savings that we're gonna get in what we spend on operations to pay for a bond. But we've done our best to hold the operating as flat as we can. And we're still, we're keeping our manpower where it is. We're updating our equipment. So I think we're sitting pretty good overall.
Maggie, would you be able to pull up the Public Works?
Just quick question. So then in 28, I mean, looking a little further down the road in 28, there'd be an additional road bond, correct, for approximately the same.
So the last estimate that they had for what we are calling the 2027 road bond,
Okay.
bear with me a second while I find it on here. Yeah, so it's slightly less. So they had 2.3 million on that one. So provided we don't make
27 on,
27 real quick.
yeah.
significant changes to that project by adding something to it or taking something away, that's the preliminary.
Yeah, so in about 3 years, we'd be looking at about, I don't know, 18% increase, right? Roughly.
And one road that's come up to my attention recently is South Clark Lake Road. Now, we share that road with Lake Edward Township. I'm hoping that I can do what we need to do with that, with road maintenance funds, the stuff that I use for patching and so forth. So hopefully we won't have to bond for that, either next summer or the summer after. We have to have discussions with Lake Edward as far as what we're gonna do in that project. You know, I don't know that we're gonna do all the treatments to that road that we've done to roads that are more internal to the city. We may still want to, but, being we have to, share that cost with them, that's a discussion that has to be had. So, at a minimum, that road would need a new road surface, so it's 3 inches of bituminous. The ditching on there is really good, so I'm not afraid of the drainage on that particular section of road. It's not high traveled or anything, so it should be pretty straightforward. Simple mill and overlay, I would guess, so hopefully it'll be reasonable. One other thing to note in these estimates and some of the other things is some of you know, Anderson Brothers is suffering a little bit, and we're not able to use them for bonding projects to the best of my knowledge. That's gonna reduce our competition and perhaps could impact the prices that we've talked about tonight. I don't know that, but just to prepare you for the possibility that that could be the case.
Well, I read that they're not able to place bids on federal contracts, states included.
It's, yeah,
Yeah. So
unfortunately, I think it would impact our projects that we're bonding for.
they will be out for municipality work.
Hopefully there'll be some updates before we actually get to that point, but just something to be aware of. Any other questions?
Anything? Thanks, Tom.
You bet.
Um,
I think that's everybody. Unless council has any questions for anyone remaining, a motion to adjourn would be in order. Oh,
So
Joe.
what's our grand total then? What's our numbers looking like?
I just did some chicken scratch,
Mhm.
best I could. Fire, assuming it's a $10,000 council responsibility, spirits, $0. Police, 20,000 increase,
Mhm.
pickle, 42,000. Planning and zoning, 11,000, parks for the community center, 4,000. Then parks, $8,600. I tried to.
Is it wages? Yeah, it's yeah. So the 17,491. Go to total revenues. The balance budget.
Keith,
Terry, I just want to make sure, but your 2.44, you're going to be offsetting that with revenue though, correct?
Scratch that. Did you get that? I have my number. Let's see where you're at.
Public Works Sewer, 67,445. And then 13,000. $6,300 increase? Oh, well,
The wastewater treatment plant will be an enterprise fund.
yeah, my whole thing's off.
Oh.
It's because I was adding wrong numbers then. What's your number, Councilman Fraley?
I'll just draw 4, how's that?
It's more than,
Or 4,000.
it's more than 4%.
Oh, my numbers? Oh, yeah, it's more than 4%. I just threw that out there to see what you're thinking.
I do it, but I left my phone in my truck, so I don't have a
What was the
calculator.
dollar amount you came up with?
Well, before removing. I got one, well, adding Amber's number would be about 185,000, but you then need to subtract the sewer for 67, subtract the pickle for the 42, because that's gonna be offset by revenue. Spirits is already at 0.
So about 105,
Uh,
110.
14%. Maggie, what'd you come up with?
I haven't done it yet.
Roughly 14% is what I'm coming up with.
Correct.
Yep.
I didn't want to scare people.
Yep, 4% pre-road bond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we're at a good start, so we'll have more discussion on it in a month. Anyone else? Okay, a motion to adjourn would be in order?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second it.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. The 18th, over at the community center.
I just want to,
Thanks. On the fly? On the fly?